Good evening, and thank you for stepping into the foul play land with me. As always, I'm your foul player, and I'm making this video regarding the hike of rates with the DAZN app that was announced 2 days ago. I actually found out about this rate increase from one of my content producing peers, Michael Johnson, Boxing and More. He made the video about 2 days ago. And make sure you subscribe to him, to Michael Johnson, Boxing and More. He actually made the video 2 days ago, announcing their increase of monthly rate to $19.99 a month, which came as a surprise. There hasn't been any indication of them talking about raising the subscription from $9.99 to more than double the price to $19.99 now, or a little bit more than double the price now to $19.99. And there certainly hasn't been a acquisition that they made as far as like snagging a new fucking boxer that they didn't have before, and they now have. In fact, as everybody knows, they tried to negotiate with Deontay Wilder to snag him, and those negotiations fell apart. But I could only theory I came up with a few theories as to how, like, why they increased the rate. I mean, like, it's more like three theories or 2.5 theories, but the first of which being that they anticipated signing Deontay Wilder. I'm not sure if that has like much leg to stand on, in the sense that, you know, if you thought you were gonna sign Wilder and you made him an offer, you would just like increase the offer within a couple of days, even like kind of like have an open wallet, like, or open checkbook, and until you could snare him in a negotiation, or like you're able to get him to sign with you in that negotiation, and then after the fact you could increase your rate. And that would make sense. I mean, like, you know, DAZN for the most part is a new app here in America. They're trying to sell it to Americans, and Deontay Wilder is far and away the most popular boxer in America, but also in the world. As it was recently stated in the ESPN poll, not a poll, but ESPN came out with a list of the 100 most popular athletes in the world. But I digress. So I was initially thinking that maybe they anticipated somehow signing Wilder, but if that's something that you have planned on, I mean, you wouldn't let him walk out of the building until he signs that contract, and you do that by increasing your offer. I have a good feeling that this $100 million 3-fight deal was probably told to him as, you know, this is the best offer that we're willing to give you at this time. And you know, as we all know, he kept it moving, and he went back to Showtime to fight against Brazil. More likely, I mean, he probably went to Showtime just to fight Brazil, and he's free to do as he pleases after the fact. But my second reason, which I think is more plausible, and it's also not like a good reason to lift your subscription rate, and I see this, a lot of people think the same thing as to why they lifted their subscription rate, is because maybe they're low on funds. Like, maybe they know that the group of people that they have like subscribed to the app now is probably the best they're gonna do for the time being. So maybe they're gonna go into round two of a negotiation with Wilder come May, like after he fights Brazil, a whole 2 months from now, with more capital at hand. And even that, like, I mean, I'm not sure if that's a good reason too, as to needing more capital to negotiate with Wilder. Because if you think about it, I mean, like, they'll probably acquire, if I'm being like very gracious, 30,000 more subscribers from here till the post Canelo, Danny Jacobs, and post Anthony Joshua, Big Baby Miller matches. So once those matches conclude, I think they'll maybe be able to gain another, and I'm being very generous in saying that they'll maybe be able to gain another 30,000 subscriptions. And that's being extremely generous, because they might be working with about 30,000 subscriptions total right now. But I think some people were theorizing that maybe they're trying to generate a little bit of cash and then go into the negotiation with Wilder this time around with a little bit more capital from maybe new subscriptions and raising their rates to $20 a month. But that doesn't make a lot of sense either, in the sense that if you add another, if right now they're working with between, and I'll give it like 100,000 subscriptions. Let's say we're working with 100,000 subscriptions. You're only gaining like 2 or 3 million from here to when you have to negotiate with Wilder again. So at that point, I mean, like, 2 or 3 million more, like, to in a negotiation isn't going to make much difference when you're talking $100 million contracts. So I'm not sure, like, and that leads me to my next. Well, actually, I already kind of covered like the 3 points as to, or the 2.5 points as to why they lifted their rates. But I mean, if I had to come with a guess, I think that they know at this point, like I kind of alluded to earlier, that this is like kind of like the best they're gonna do with the cards that they've been dealt. They're trying to market fighters that don't really move the needle here in America. With Anthony Joshua and with Canelo Danny Jacobs matchup, with a Regis Prograis fight on the World Boxing Super Series, because they actually, which is one of the things that Michael Johnson Boxing and More showed on his channel. They actually showed a pamphlet or a banner showing all the fights they're gonna have from on this year, and they showed like Triple G versus to be announced, and they showed, like I said, Anthony Joshua versus Big Baby Miller, and they showed Canelo versus Danny Jacobs. Who else did they show? They showed a couple other people, but everything else there, like, I mean, doesn't move the needle like much. I mean, and even for an extreme boxing fan or avid boxing fan like myself and like some of the boxing populace, that doesn't move the needle much. I mean, it was like there was a lot of lower weight guys, or a lot of bum bashes, if you will, decent names fighting people that work stocking products at Costco. They don't do much for you. Like, I mean, like, boxing is not popping like that where you have to watch it. Like, it's like, I mean, and that goes for me too. I mean, there's a lot of fights that like go on, and if it's between watching that fight and, I don't know, meeting with a friend who I'm not even introduced to meet, I'm gonna go fucking meet with my friend. Or if it's between fucking watching boxing or going to a regular restaurant, not even a nice restaurant, I'm probably gonna go, like, I mean, it depending on the match. I mean, like, if it's a corny match, I'm not gonna watch it, like, more like than not. Or if it's certain division that I don't think is popping like that. Like, I'm not a fiend like that where I just like to watch boxing just because there's two motherfuckers with gloves on the TV. And I think most people think that way. I think most people are even more extreme than me. Like, they don't watch boxing but 3 or 4 times a year, So you're not gonna get many people to sign on to an app, like to watch a few shitty matches just because you're selling boxing. And that's just my take. I mean, and another point I wanted to make, more importantly, is the Wilder effect in all this too. The only way you could get a boost in subscriptions or break that market here in America, gain entry into this market, is through Deontay Wilder. If you have any hope at all, it's only with Deontay Wilder. And I only say that because right now you already signed Golovkin, no raise in subscriptions. You already signed Canelo. All reports are saying that those numbers when Canelo fought Liam Smith were way less than they expected. That they were really bad, actually. And I could even guess that they were probably around what AJ's fight with Povetkin did, maybe a little bit more. Even double that, you're talking 30,000 new subscribers watching that fight. When you talk about every big card that or every big acquisition that they could have made, they've kind of already made, with the exception of Deontay Wilder, and none of that stuff has moved the needle here in the American market. I mean, and that's not being cocky, or that's not being pompous, or that's not coming from any vitriol that I have towards Anthony Joshua, though I don't like Anthony Joshua and the way he moves. But this is coming from a perspective in shit that already happened. All these things already happened. They already signed Triple G. Nobody gives a shit about DAZN. They already signed Anthony Joshua. Nobody gives a shit about DAZN. They already signed fucking Canelo. Nobody gives a shit about DAZN. And these are all people, for the most part, who earned a lot more than Wilder in the past. So, I mean, it still, hasn't moved the needle. And these are people that supposedly could sell in America, with the exception of Anthony Joshua and Golovkin. I mean, because they're really not pay-per-view draws here. But it still hasn't done nothing here in America. But it was also... another point I want to make is that it was also good for Deontay Wilder not to take that deal from DAZN, in the sense that Deontay Wilder, like it or not, had to fight Brazil next. That fight is shit. Deontay Wilder even said so. He thinks that Brazil ain't shit. I don't think Brazil is shit. Brazil, not a marketable guy, not a good interview. He talks like he's punch drunk already. He's not. To me, it's not something that you're gonna be able to sell. So what DAZN was attempting to do was to buy that fight, in addition to the 2 upcoming fights from Wilder. But why would you try to sell something that nobody's gonna buy in the Brazil fight? And this is coming from the Wilder's perspective. So why would you sell something that you admit is not a good commodity, or it's actually a burden commodity, in that somebody would have to show a fight that nobody wants to watch, in addition to selling 2 fights after that where you could fight whoever the fuck you want, including Anthony Joshua? So if Wilder, no matter what, had to fight Brazil, they were trying to buy something that nobody wanted, in addition to 2 mystery matches. So to two matches which are yet to be determined, but you could probably conclude that they're going to be bigger sells than what the Brazil match is. Just in the sense that, he's getting a mandatory out the way. So his next match, I mean, like you have the mystique of it potentially being Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Um, just on that, you could coming from the zone, you could sell that mystique for a whole lot. Like when it comes to subscriptions, especially when people think that you're gonna, Wilder's next matches are gonna be on pay-per-view. And Wilder also kind of fucked the zone in the sense that this match coming up with Brazil is not on pay-per-view. So he's already like kind of like in that threshold right now where you don't have to pay pay-per-view here in America to watch him. So why would people like rush to get an app that's supposedly counter or can counter pay-per-view to watch Deontay Wilder when he's not even fighting on pay-per-view in this next match coming up? You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I mean, like when Wilder comes to the negotiation table after the Brazil fight, which is as we all know, he's actually fighting before AJ's next match. Wilder's gonna have, if he wins, one more win on his record, so he'll be 41 wins with no losses and one draw, rather than going to the negotiation table with coming off of a draw with 40 wins and having to fight Brazil. There was no way around it. He was gonna have to fight Brazil no matter what once Fury ducked him. So you're going to come to the negotiation table come May. If you do beat Brazil, as Wilder is expected to do, you're going to have another win on your record, one step closer to 50 wins with your mandatory out of the way. So, I mean, like, to me, he made the right decision. From reports that I was hearing from Blue Blood, and please subscribe to Blue Blood as well, was that the Wilder deal with the zone was gonna limit him in the sense that the AJ fights weren't guaranteed to be on there, and also if Wilder fought AJ even after that 3-fight deal, that they would have to make it on the zone. I mean, that's kind of like pigeonholing you, like, So the zone got to come correct if they want to sign the longest reigning champ in all of boxing, and if they want to try to resuscitate their app. All right, that's all I have now. Like, I have some background noise because this fucking moron that I'm working with is playing some teeny bopper shit on the other side. But thanks for checking me out. I'm gonna try to make more content coming up soon. And with that, peace.